We all have this idea about getting older, right?
Hmm.
That, your 20s are the peak, and after that, it's just this slow slide
It's
downhill,
a slow decline. Yeah, creaky knees, forgetting your keys.
the whole deal. But we're looking at a new study today that basically says that whole story is wrong.
Scientifically wrong. It's from the journal Intelligence and a researcher named Gilles Gignac.
Right. And so the mission for this deep dive is to figure out why your brain might actually perform its best.
Yeah.
Well, right when society tells you should be winding down,
We're talking 55 to 60 years old.
which is just a huge shift in how we think about aging.
It is. And to understand it, we have to look at how Professor Gignac separates intelligence. It's not one single score.
No, because, let's be realistic here. There is a physical peak.
Of course.
If you're talking about raw speed, like in a video game or hitting a buzzer, that's a young person's game. 20s, 30s.
Exactly. If you need to memorize a random list of words, in 10 seconds, a 25-year-old brain is probably going to win. But the study found that other skills, like using your knowledge and experience to solve really hard problems, that just keeps climbing.
It's like the difference between a computer's processing speed and the amount of data on its hard drive.
That's a perfect analogy.
And so they looked at 16 different brain skills, and when you add them all up, the total score, the peak wasn't 25.
Not even close. It was clearly between 55 and 60.
And it wasn't just about knowing more stuff, right? It was also about things like emotional control.
Yeah, this was the part of the data I found really interesting, the timeline of when we actually get good at certain things.
I was looking at that chart. It's wild. The ability to be organized. Keeping big projects on track. That doesn't even peak until age 65.
Which makes sense if you think about it.
How so?
Being organized isn't a reflex. It's a skill you learn over decades of practice and probably a lot of failing.
Right. And then there's emotional stability. They use the term neuroticism, which is just a fancy way of saying how easily you get stressed out.
And that hits its lowest point around age 75.
So you've got a 60-year-old brain that might be a tiny bit slower on the buzzer,
A tiny bit. Yeah.
but it has way more information, it's better organized, and it is much less likely to panic under pressure.
That is a powerful combination.
It really explains why so many leaders, in business or government, are in that age bracket. They're not just waiting their turn.
No, they're biologically better equipped to make fair, level-headed decisions. It's the whole wisdom of age thing, but with hard data to back it up.
And history is full of examples of this. We love the idea of the young genius, but
But the late bloomer is often the one who connects all the dots.
like Charles Darwin, he didn't publish on the origin of species until he was 50. That's not a young person's book.
No, that required decades of just observation and note-taking. A 20-year-old just couldn't have written it.
No way.
Or think about Beethoven. He wrote some of his greatest compositions in his early 50s.
And he was deaf by then.
Exactly. He wasn't hearing the notes. He was relying on this deep internal understanding of music. That is the definition of peak mental performance.
Even today in tech, which is obsessed with youth, you have someone like Lisa Su at AMD. She led that huge company comeback well into her 50s.
That's complex problem solving, not just coding fast.
Right.
Now, we do have to be honest here. The study does show a decline. After 65, the scores start to go down a bit, and a bit faster after 75. We're not superheroes forever.
But the shape is different than we thought.
Yeah.
It's not a cliff you fall off at 40.
It's a mountain you peak at 60.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the core message from Professor Gignac's work, which is that we have to stop judging people based on their birth year.
You're not hiring someone in their 50s for their sunset years.
You're hiring them for their peak performance years.
It completely reframes middle age. It's not the beginning of the end, it's the high point.
And it leaves you with a really big question. In a world that's so obsessed with youth and speed, are we undervaluing the kind of stability and deep intelligence that only comes with time?
That is the question to sit with. Maybe getting older isn't about slowing down at all. Maybe it's about leveling up. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.